What's up, nerds? Welcome to the Arcadia National Podcast. This is J-Lo.
This is Amy.
And Sarah here.
And this is William.
Welcome to the
Will.
podcast, Will.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, for those of you who don't know, Will is a Portlander who has created one of the coolest new board card / tabletop games that I've played in a long time. Do you want to give us a little spiel about your game, Will?
I would love to. So,
Yeah, please do.
PBL Robots, it's a card and dice game where you actually get a robot and you slide in a pilot into your robot and you build up cards that are armor upgrades to your robot and you make it stronger and stronger and you roll dice to battle your opponent.
Heck yeah.
That's the one-sentence version right there.
That is a ton of fun. We're definitely going to dive in more, but I'm going to go around and do some beverage acknowledgments. I'm drinking the Rising Tide Main Island Trail Ale because it's Midas season, y'all. Yum.
I am drinking Maine ginger beer because I showed up for this recording already drunk, so I'm gonna chill out now.
It's a good idea.
I have my fancy mug that's going to be expiring soon here at Arcadia.
God,
I
that's
gotta
right.
think about that real hard.
You got
filled
May?
with. I have June.
June, me too.
Yeah. It's filled with a nice assassin's tea.
Nice. I have the Rojo cider.
That's Bantam.
It's the Bantam, yeah.
Yeah.
A cherry peppercorn semi-dry cider from
That's really
Massachusetts.
Yeah, that sounds even more delicious than I realized.
Does
Yeah,
it taste
absolutely.
like apples?
Yeah, it's actually really good, really good. I like it a lot.
Awesome.
On tap.
Yes.
Yeah.
We, as a lot of people know, making a game is kind of a pain and really hard, and not a lot of people are able to do that. Where did what's the timeline? Like, how long have you been working on the game? Working on PBL Robots? Like, when did it, it's 2016 right now, May?
When did this start?
Yeah, so the birth of the idea was now 12 years ago.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
Okay.
no joke. It was basically I was watching Pokemon and playing the card game for the first time and being like, "Oh my god, this is so fun!"
Yes.
I used to play that on my neighbor's lawn.
Nice.
That's a
Pokemon
great place
card
to
game?
play it on the lawn.
I don't know why not mine, but on my neighbor's lawn.
Well, so at this time, I had a friend that was like, "Hey, are you not aware of like anime?" And I was like, "No, what is this? I know cartoons, you know. I know what I assume is like the Saturday morning cartoons." They're like, no, this is different. And I was kind of exposed to like Gundam and just basically Macross, every like robot anime I watched and
Awesome.
like whatever I can get my hands onto. And then that's when I was like, okay, there's got to be a Pokemon card game that's robots somewhere. And I went out looking for it, and it didn't exist. So I just made up some mocks, which are actually the mock prototypes were pretty similar to how the game looks now, except for like updated
Cool.
art. But
Wow.
the concept was then
12
right there.
years ago?
Yeah,
Wow.
2004?
yeah, 2004, and it sat in sat in a shoebox that then sat in a suitcase that I traveled with all across the country.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
now it's our actual PBL robot
Yes.
suitcase, which is funny too. And
Yes.
I pulled it out at one of our art nights for Hidden Ladder Collective, and that's kind of where it resurfaced, and that was 3 years ago now.
Wow.
Cool.
So it
Yeah.
was about 3 years ago that you really started pushing to get this made and official and something that people could buy. Is that right?
Yeah, and the story's a little bit funny because we had the art night. We had a friend that had a 9-year-old kid who was like just wanting something to do. So I pulled it out and showed it to him, and he went home. 2 weeks later, came to another art night and was like, had designed a bunch of cards.
Oh,
and
rad.
That's super
We're like,
cool.
man, you thought about this for 2 straight weeks, and came
That
up with
rules.
the different cards, and we were like, man, and the cards he came up with were awesome. They were in the game, like the plasma knife,
Really?
the plasma cannon, and then we put him in the game. He's Luke Epico,
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
That's adorable.
the weapons designer. So.
Yeah. And then you
That's awesome.
teamed up with all the people in your Hidden Ladder Collective. Great group of people. Do you want to tell us about Hidden Ladder Collective a little bit?
Yeah, so that's the art collective out of Portland, Maine that I started with Abbott Russell, and it's just been, amazing. I don't want to start listing off everybody that's in it because I could go on for a long time. But artists, musicians, poets, we get together once a week to do our art nights to just collaborate, and we also started like the Turnstile Thursday that happens now it's at CTN. Started at the Meg Perry Center for music collaborations and a kind of a live show there.
Oh, wow.
Kind of things keep happening out of that, art shows and tours and things like that. But then the game, everybody in the group became playtesters for PBL robots.
Awesome.
And came up with ideas and that kind of organically. Art night for a while was like half art, half
PBL.
PBL
robots.
playtest,
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
are you rolling dice or are you dipping in the paint? I'm not sure.
So you've been
Sometimes
working on
both.
this. You've been working on this game for a really long time. What is the process like of developing? Because I think a lot of people maybe have ideas like, "Oh, a sweet game would be this and this and that." So, but obviously, it's a lot more complicated and difficult than that. So, can you tell us a little bit about what developing that for more public consumption is like?
Yeah, I mean, it is quite. It's like taking like little X's and O ideas and just playing them. Yeah, basically, it's like a huge playtest period where you don't have rules, so like it's like playing an open-ended game all the time. And
Yeah,
so,
it's more RPG than card game at that point.
yeah, it really is,
Yeah.
and so you have to love that part of it. And I think it's hard to make a game if you don't love that R&D stuff, and really every time you make a decision, you're like, okay, was that decision I made fun for me? And was it fun for the game? Did it progress? And was it within the storylines that I've decided is the theme of the game? And all that, since the theme can always change too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everything's
absolutely.
open-ended, so you're
Yeah.
constantly like taking another step backwards to make a decision and then jumping back into the moment.
Yeah, so sort of having the overall view of the game as its own entity versus what, like, oh man, I would really love to see this, but is it a good idea for the game? Like,
Totally.
does it help? Does it mesh with other things? Is there something that it breaks, like some mechanic that no longer works because of that decision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're just
Cool.
always trying to make those tough decisions, and it's actually exhilarating at the same time as like gives you constant headaches where you're like you tweak one thing and you're like, okay, now that just reset everything else, and you're like, my brain can't hold it all in my head, like what that just shifted.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Like, how do you maintain the balance of keeping it fun, keeping new mechanics like fair and playable so that there's not one way to kind of exploit the game?
I mean, I think having playtesters that are ultra competitive is one good way.
Yes,
Yeah.
we play tested.
Yeah.
We were
We
in
played
one of the
some
the
unbalanced
second
cards
league or
that
so.
have now been
Yeah.
Reconfigured.
made fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you guys are perfect examples of, I mean, like game players that like are truly like love to find the ways to win, you know?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we
Exploiting
what
the
we need.
rules is our favorite thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a game. How do I break it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what you need, though, right? Like, to make sure that it's going to work, you need
What-
to know how it could break.
100%.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta
Yep.
say though, like going to PAX, playing indie games, and a lot of our friends and the bar are Kickstarter fanatics for board games, and we were recently talking about games that people funded and they got, and they were just super broken. And your game is not broken at all. Like you actually put in the work to kickstart a good game successfully and make it awesome and desirable afterwards too, which is awesome. Good job.
Oh well, thank you. You know, I always think about when I'm making a game, I always think, well, if I was a cheater, how would I cheat?
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
try to like make sure that that's not a possible thing to do in the
Absolutely.
game. You know, because like that's really, I mean, I guess when I played a Pokemon card game tournament, the first time I ever played, I was playing against somebody that was cheating just so blatantly.
Yeah.
But I was like not gonna say anything
Yeah.
or anything. He was also a lot younger than me because I was older, and so I was also like, well, I'll let him cheat. But it was like it's so frustrating to me that the rules kind of like allowed for
For cheating.
an easy way to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's hard to call out somebody on it and that kind of thing. So, and I think that was a big part of it too. Is
Yeah.
That experience of having someone cheat in your face.
and just being like, man, that's it doesn't feel good when you're like, well, I could have just cheated right there and I didn't, but you know, like I just trying to eliminate that as even a possibility.
Yeah.
I think is really good for a game.
Like, I've played Mario Maker, which is so not anything like developing a full-scale card game. But I learned, though, just trying to put together playable levels, that there are so many ways that games can terminate that is not only not an actual ending, but not satisfying in any way. And it is harder than you think, I think, to make something workable. Is that
Make something
Right.
challenging as well as fulfilling, as well
Yeah.
as like there's a whole bunch of discussion it's all over the internet about having a game be challenging but not punishing.
Yes,
Or
yeah.
being punishing in a way that teaches you.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I also in card games, I think or board games, tabletop games, like comeback mechanics are like so crucial of making a game so you're not like, oh, I've lost and now you're just like going through the motions.
Right. It's not I've lost on turn 3 but I still have to play 10 more turns because I have this much health pool left. It's like being able to come back. Yeah.
That part is always something I think is like really, I mean, really difficult to design, because how do you let somebody that's playing really well or doing really well, and then you want to give the person behind a chance, but not like not jeopardize the fact that everything you've done so far is not pointless, like
right.
You don't want to give everyone blue shells.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, is there a blue shell in your game?
Like from Mario Kart?
No, I mean there's
stars.
There's stars,
lightning bolts,
and lots of them as far as like going up and down. But the momentum's so important, so you have to time it right. And if you aren't paying attention to all the other things that can interact with it, then even your star is gonna it's gonna fail or
So that's the biggest thing, I think. So we didn't mention it, but one of the big aspects about PBL Robots is that it's also a deck drafting game. So part of it is just the deal of the drafting phase and what cards get offered to you during your draft, and whether or not you decide to draft certain cards and build your deck a certain way. I've built very large decks with lots of cards. I've built very tight decks designed around certain cards and that strategy. And I think just every game you play is different because of that. And your strategy changes, and your ability to maneuver through the game against your opponent depends on your strategy to start too.
The first game I played, the first game I played was they just split the deck, have cards, so it was just kind of random in that way. And then you told me that there was a drafting mechanic, and I got way more excited for that. So then I just wanted to just look at the cards. So that's I feel like one of the biggest things about a game like this is having familiarity with the cards. Just allows you to think about so many different combinations that you like. Me as a new player, when I first started, I had just a random deck and like, oh, this is cool. Oh, but now it's gone. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and this is pretty cool, and this kind of works, and then this is cool, and then they're both gone. Those kind of things that kind of build without me knowing it because they were just in my hand. Mm-hmm. But being able to draft afterwards and being able to, oh, okay, all right, this could work, and then this could work, and this could work, and then still failing, like still having to just crash and burn, having my strategy just go nowhere because But
then you learn.
Yeah, and then but then I know more about the cards, and I know about the interactions. The hand management aspect of PBL Robots, I think, is very cool because you can have the coolest card in your deck on your first turn, but not be able to use it. Because you have to upgrade. You
kind of just waste it a little bit and then hope you can burn through your whole deck if you made a small enough deck and get it back again.
I think one of my favorite. I think the being able to discard for bombs and defense is so cool. It's so cool because it can turn the best card in the game, which there's probably like 3. The cards are like the best in the game, but it turns any card into just shit. I need this. I need to try to buff up this defense, or I need to try to buff this attack, and I need to just burn this card to use it. I think that's really
so what
cool.
you're describing is basically for the listeners, you can take a card that you find not as opportunely useful in the moment and turn it into an added dice to your roll of attack or defense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that aspect of it is rad.
Yeah.
I think that there's a decision making when you're like, okay, well, it has all the cards have value in your hand as their face value, but then they also have the value as the dice roll. So you're constantly trying to decide like the value of that card and the timing of it. Yeah, and that's a good point.
And that goes back to what you were saying about the timing aspect, because if I get this card that's great at the wrong time, it turns into a die.
Yep.
It turns into more. It turns into a die instead of being a stronger attacking arm or stronger boots or whatever.
And we thought a lot about how in games where you're holding dead cards in your hand, just like how frustrating that can be.
Yeah, to have a card you just can't use.
It's just nothing. So it's like being able to use them as a bomb. It could be so
crucial.
Yeah, crucial.
It makes the world a difference.
So Will, are you the primary developer of this game? Is that right? This is your baby most of all.
Yeah, and then so John Sapinski, or Silas as he's known, he jumped on 3 years ago when
and
that was actually, if it wasn't for basically Luke the 9-year-old, and basically showing it to Silas as well, and being like, "Hey, you should play this with me because I want somebody to play with." And then he was like, "Oh, this is. I really think we should turn it into something." Which at that point it had sat in my closet for 10 years, so I wasn't assuming that anything was going to happen. So it was a very fortuitous kind of thing.
Can you tell us about like what was the hardest part in this whole process from beginning to end?
It's the patience of it all
Yeah.
for me. It's like I think I just kind of am assuming things are going to happen faster than they do. And then I also think that there's going to be a snowball effect that happens without as much work each step of the way. It's like, well, when this happens, it's going to start organically taking off. But everything happens so much slower than I assume.
Yeah.
Even though it actually hasn't been that long, like looking back, but from like one day to the next day or like 1 week to the next, it feels like, the Kickstarter thing just about killed me.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah, so we ran a Kickstarter to raise the money to do the printing, and that was in the very end of 2014, and we had our big party here actually at our arcade room.
You guys were in costume.
We dressed up as the characters,
Yeah.
but I was like deliriously tired because it's like it was more than like a full-time job to try to run it and try to manage it all and do all the exposure, because you always feel like you should be doing more.
Because you can't just create a Kickstarter and then just leave it there. That's how all the unfunded Kickstarters happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I luckily had researched that enough that I was prepared for that, but I wasn't prepared for. I thought every day I'll post it here and there. Maybe I'll do an interview or this kind of stuff, but it's like nonstop.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're ringing out every social media thing you can to try to find one or two people.
Yeah, just any
look
like,
at it.
Any help is good help. Like any donations, like any $5. That's why there's donation incentives for $1. Like every dollar helps to get you towards those goals.
Yeah, it really does. And then actually at the point at which we finally succeeded, I was actually like, I almost felt like nauseous because it's like, oh my gosh.
Oh God, it worked.
Oh God. And now I have all this stuff I have to do at this like set times and fulfill all these back things. After I hadn't even considered it making it, because you're just so focused on hoping you can make it that you don't think about what's after. And I wanted to just sleep for a month.
And this is of course on top of a regular job too. Right. So you're just exhausting yourself because you've basically got two more than full-time jobs at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was like running a marathon, constantly. But and so afterwards, it seemed like it was going to be a lot easier. It's like, well, at least we made it through that. But it kind of feels similar as you're running the game, as you're going, traveling to the different events and so I was listening to the PAX, the podcast from last week, and I'm just thinking like, man, it would be so great if I could go to PAX and just enjoy PAX.
Yeah,
but you were there working the whole time.
Yeah, working the whole time, and both times I've been. Has been really just you're peddling your game, you're trying to get your stuff out, and you're thinking about like how can I maximize what I'm doing here, and that it's just a different experience.
I think we should dress up as PBL robot characters next PAX, so that people are like, oh, what cosplay are you?
Oh, PBL robots.
And we're like, oh, we're just from PBL robots, no big deal.
Go check
What is
it
that?
out.
Oh, it's the best card game.
Just go to tabletop, it's fine.
We talked about our PAX experience as goers and attendees. What did your PAX look like? I know we went down on the train together, and you slept most of the time.
Oh man,
you were tired as a dog.
And I love train rides for sleeping. I fell asleep like instantly, like 5 seconds in. I'm like, hey, great to see you guys.
Yeah, hey guys.
Yeah, we were like, oh, well, I guess I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah, and you guys were playing like really fun games that I wanted to play, but I couldn't.
I need to sleep because I need to be
tired.
working.
Yeah, I gotta.
So you get into Boston, and you had a panel on Friday, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Talk to us about that panel.
Panel was great.
It was called card game making.
The struggle.
It's hard. The struggling.
Right?
Yeah, card game design. The struggling is what it was called. Well, the experience, it was interesting because I've never done a panel before. And I don't even think I've been to one. I've seen them, I've watched them on like the internet and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so, and we did, all our panels changed at the last second. So it was kind of like,
Which everything you were gonna do.
Yeah, and I didn't even know what we were gonna do. We were supposed to meet up half an hour before, and I was the only person there. And they were already funneling people in, and the person that was running it, he wasn't there yet.
Oh my God.
Great guy, but he's doing like 500 things at once. He runs like Aegis, the other robot game. But it was great. I got to meet like Darwin Castle that invented Star Realms, and
oh cool.
Or actually, Darwin Castle was supposed to be there. It was Rob Doherty that was there.
Okay.
and the epic
Star
epic
Realms is great.
versus-
Has you guys played Star Realms?
No, I
Star
have
Realms is a
not.
super
Awesome.
fun deck building game. Kind of like I think it's closest to Ascension. Because there's like a home row of cards you can gain, and there's different families of cards. Like there's the green family that all have synergy with each other, and the blues and the yellows. And it's a one-off, usually one-on-one, or it can be more than that. Competitive card game. It's pretty rad. It's like just a one deck, and you can play a potentially infinite number of games.
Cool.
And there's also an app too.
Yeah, and it's actually Ascension was the reason for making Star Realms. It was the same guys that made
Oh,
it.
okay.
So,
That-
so you're
Cool,
right on.
cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Man, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I'm
they
an
actually
idiot.
just wanted to make it a smaller, like a smaller
Okay.
version. So they
That
boiled
makes-
it down.
I probably should have done my research on that. I'm sorry.
No, I mean you're just right on. Is all. Yeah.
Man, PAX inspired me to want to make a really cool board game. As a huge Euro game fan, I would love to make a US Euro game.
It's called Ameritrash.
Just like Meeple Love. I was looking for a really cool T-shirt with meeples on it, and I didn't find one that I loved. So I might also design a Meeple T-shirt.
Oh, you should.
That's a good idea.
Like, oh man, and like random resource tokens. I want to buy a 3D printer so I can just like 3D print all my tokens for my game that I'm gonna make.
Awesome.
Also
There's
a
like
good idea.
so many inspirations. Seeing super cute games like Dragoon, which had heavy metal pieces and cloth for the board, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is great. People are doing cool, unique things. Yeah, I want to make a game now.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips? What are your tips for people who want to make games?
Well, so actually, this panel I was on was like a lot of people talking about how they create their games and why, and things that kept coming up was making the game that you would love to play. So like I think that's the first step. So Sarah, you should
Imagine the
make
game you want to play.
and just
Yeah.
build it like okay, I would love to have these kind of things, and I want these type of little
Yeah,
pieces
pick
and
the mechanics.
yeah, just work on that.
I apologize that I didn't get to go to the panel. Was there much talk about the idea of what to do? Like, do you do the mechanics first, or do you do and then make a theme on top, or go with the theme and then put the mechanics into it? Was there any?
Yeah, because you
talk about
mentioned you wanted to play a robot card game, so you had a theme and a category, but not necessarily any mechanics to start.
Right. So yeah, I knew I wanted to roll dice because I like rolling dice. So like
It's
I had
so fun.
Yeah, I had that part
Love
of
rolling
it.
dice.
Yeah, I just like the drama of rolling dice. It's so fun.
Like
but
the shake, 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 release.
yeah,
Yeah, we played a game where I had some really epic rolls at PAX.
Yeah,
we were
it was
learning
pretty
the game.
good.
It felt really good.
yeah, and I love that. Actually, my dad grew up playing. Have any of you played like Stratomatic? It's a baseball It's basically D&D, but sports.
Love it.
No, but
cool.
wow.
Stratomatic.
Yeah, it's called Stratomatic. It's like an old school. You have these little cards that has like all real real players. I remember my dad had Bo Jackson at one point, and he was like unbelievably good. So
Yeah.
every time you rolled, he'd run like really far, and you've got in your time management clock and everything. But I just remember hearing them all like in the basement playing with rolling dice and stuff. At the time, I thought it was like they're all like doing like a jock thing, kind of like playing
Yeah.
this like sports. But
Sports.
It was totally
We like sports. We like sports.
yeah, I didn't realize like how really like game focused it was, but it was just that noise. I've always loved that. But yeah, so games, I think as far as what you want to make is just writing down those ideas that you want. So for me, it was like robots. It was stacking up cards, which I thought was a cool idea, and putting a pilot in. All the different things. I'm just like, these are the things I really like, and now how do I fill in the gaps? And that's a lot of things that the other designers were talking about. They're like, either they were filling a gap, you're like, this isn't on the market right now, or there's this game and this game, let's go in between them, or it'll be like, here's
Cool.
one simple mechanic. What kind of game can we make off that one simple mechanic?
Can we lay that down and then reiterate it and then just have it spin off on its own and do something wacky?
Yeah, and everybody that was sitting up there said, one of the key things is to throw down all your ideas at least for yourself, and then you just have to be really good at editing back and simplifying and simplifying and play, and that's play testing. Play test as much as possible. Make sure people are enjoying the experience, and I think I think you can make a good game out of almost anything if you do that process right.
Yeah, just play test and just balance it.
Yep.
Just get enough. Just put all your ideas out. Just throw the data down there and then play it.
Yep.
And just play and play and play and just see what works and what doesn't. And just like, okay, keep track, have stats, numbers. numbers. Love numbers.
Yep. Exactly.
I definitely think that like hearing about your development of this game has made me think differently about basically all the board games that I play, because I think about like, oh my god, like how many times did somebody have to play test this to make sure that this was not going to break the game or tilt it unfairly in one direction or the other. Every single time a mechanic is added to a game, you have to think about you have to think about like what's this going to do, and like what are the different paths that this could take. So
you know, as I'm sitting here talking about this with everyone, I'm realizing the same thing must happen for programming in pinball machines. And point scoring and modes and adding points for values. Like a very simple example is the loop on Bad Cats. If you hit the left ramp enough times, it becomes very lucrative, but it's not easy.
$1 million points per shot.
Yeah. You know, it starts off small, and then if you can actually do it enough times in a row, it's worth it. So you are doing the same kind of thing, making board games and card games for tabletop as you're doing in programming a pinball machine. So maybe I can take some of both of those aspects if I start making a game.
Absolutely.
Pinball
is not broken.
RPG.
Yeah, and if it is, that's the thing though. But like you can reprogram a pinball machine, but you can't reprogram a board game.
How about a card game where you're actually building your own pinball machine with ramps and stuff, and then you
that could be really cool.
And you set up the point values and everything.
Yeah, it's like a 2-part game. But like the first part is you like maybe competitively building a game or building the table.
Kind of like that maze game we played at PAX.
Maze
Racers.
Maze Racers.
Oh,
yeah. We had to put little magnet walls up and make on a timer. It was a very, very simple, piecewise simple game, but you have 2 magnetic boards and you put little magnetic walls made of foam on the board on a timer. You have to finish. When your opponent decides they're done, you have, I think, like 1 minute to finish yours to be done. Then you trade, and you have to get from start to end and back
before your opponent. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's great. You need to find a hard opponent if you think you're a hard opponent for your opponent.
What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt right there.
That is true. That is true.
You need to find a hard opponent if you think you're an opponent hard for your opponent's self.
Yes, you want to just be hard all the time.
It's important to find a person
this
who's
is a
at
PG
your
podcast.
skill level.
It is
right? It's not. We say fuck on this podcast.
Sure
Sarah.
do. We swear all the time.
Okay.
Shit. Whoops. Oh!
Donate to kids.
Donate to kids, Disney. We love you. Sorry.
Just a quick thing about the maze game. Do you think that there's one build that's going to be the best? You know, like once somebody
like
says this
exploit?
is the maze, and then everybody's going to just build the same maze with maybe slight edits, because it's like I feel like that's a solvable game.
Possibly.
I don't
think it's going to have enough of a social presence for that to happen.
I think what makes it not solvable is that you choose the start and end differently each game, so you can't necessarily build the same maze.
That's true.
And I feel like there's 2 ways to go in that game. Like you can either build a game or build a maze that has a ton of tricks and have someone just like go on a long path and miss and go the wrong way.
See, that's what I did.
Which is exactly what you did.
Yep.
Or you can build a maze that just has a lot of movements. Like if you need to move a lot in order to get, like, it can be a simple maze, like a simple pathway, but if the person needs to tilt forward, back, right, left, right, forward, right, forward, left, forward, versus a like slow.
Yeah, that's what you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
We battled each other. Like thinking back to those little plastic mazes with the
Labyrinth.
tiny metal balls in it. No, the like little tiny coaster sized ones.
Small, like
Oh,
really
tiny
small
ones.
ones.
Yeah.
It is
where
like that,
where you
yeah.
knew where you were going, but it was so hard to tilt the tiny maze so gently to get the ball to go through the right spot.
Yeah, those really made me mad.
So
It was
you
like
need to
that.
know,
That's the strategy.
I wanted to break
is
this.
your opponent someone who's going to get more held up by complicated directions or by the physical act of tilting the board?
Right. So,
Would you guys like to play a game?
Sure.
I would love to play a game.
Play a
So
game.
this is a game we picked up at PAX. Have you played this yet, Will?
I have never. Have
Okay.
I ever?
Wow, never have you ever played this game.
That's the name of that game.
So this game is called Never Have I Ever. It's called Never Have I Ever. The way it works is that there's blue cards and red cards. The blue cards have stuff written on them. They have actions. They have the things that you may or may not have done in
Can you
your
give us an
lifetime.
example, Jello?
Yeah, I'm going to randomly flip a card. Been drunk at church is a blue card. hooked up with a politician is one of the blue cards. And then binged on Netflix without leaving the house for more than 4 days is also something that I have done. I'm sorry, it's also a blue card.
Oh God, these are some. Oh, I'm looking at my
So
cards.
the way the game works. Pardon me, screen shield.
Everyone gets 10 blue cards.
Correct.
I just read and dealt them out.
Oh God,
My
these are
favorite
rough.
part that I just read, though, is starting the game. Pick the person with the coolest shoes, which is totally me. And whoever is to the right of them starts
mine
the
are no
game,
good.
which is Will. And it says, why? Because nobody likes a show off.
Oh, you didn't finish reading it.
Reading all I just was like, I got cool shoes.
You didn't finish reading it.
I do not have cool shoes.
Remember, kids, always read the fine print.
Yes,
Oh, man.
read the whole recipe before you cook.
Oh, that's
All right, so we have the blue cards, and those are the things. They're called the play cards in this game. And then there's a deck of red cards that are the rule cards. And each round, one of us is going to draw one of these rule cards, and then we're basically going to play that round for those rules. So, as an example, one of the cards says, "Everyone passes a play card to me. Once I have everyone's play cards, I must answer all of them. I get to win all of the cards that I am guilty of."
Wait, you answer them, so you say,
You
whether
you've
or
done
not
them
you
or not.
have
Yes.
done them.
So that's for this one, but we're not going to do that
God,
right.
okay.
Maybe
Cool.
we'll do that one
let's,
first.
well, let's just grab a new one and have Will start since I'm a show off.
So
Nice
basically,
shoes, though.
what I like about this game
Thanks.
is each one is different. Like each round is slightly different, which is very cool.
Yeah, this is similar to, but different from the
The form, the apples to apples. Cards
well,
Against
but
Humanity
also
form.
like the rogue version of Never Have I Ever, in which you just say something.
Oh
and
yeah, I
people
usually
either
do 10
have
fingers.
or have not.
I usually do 10 fingers,
yep.
and I always like to have people clap if they've done it, so that so people can't just like kind of sneak going down to there and like,
Yeah.
Like,
I only
six. I
played.
didn't tell you when I got those, but
Yeah,
it's fine.
I've only
Everything's
played
fine.
the 3-finger round in King's Cup,
Gotcha.
so it goes faster because you got a lot more stuff to get done.
Cool.
All right, I'm drawing. I got the red card. It says draw 2. I have to draw 2 new play cards from the box and answer them. I win any cards I'm guilty of.
Oh.
From the box.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like we have the whole pile.
So, did I ever try to hide something from hotel housekeeping? I definitely have done that.
One yes. So you keep
So I got
that.
that one. And been chased by the police, which I also have.
Wait, what's the end game
Well-
here? I'm sorry.
So every time you have a play card, it gets added to your wall of shame. So similar to things like Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples, you collect
So
the cards
Will
that are in
has
front of
2
you.
points.
Will has 2 cards so far. Yes.
Oh man.
Jeez,
So
I feel like
we should go clockwise
I guess so.
Which way does the clock go? Okay.
It goes to me.
towards me.
To Sarah.
Clockwise.
Yeah, it goes to
Clock.
me.
The clock.
Yeah.
Nope. That's
No, it goes like this.
counterclockwise.
that's counter.
One,
Let's go
two.
counterclockwise. I want to go next. Let's go
Fine,
counterclockwise. Go ahead,
fine.
go
We're
ahead,
going
go ahead.
counterclockwise. Go ahead.
No,
JLo, you're
no, I
up.
won't anymore.
All right.
I have a digital watch. I'm sorry.
Bullshit. Oh, that's
does
what
that
it says. I'm sorry.
Donate to kids.
I have to pick a play card that someone has won and ask them to tell the story.
Yes.
If
which-
I believe they are not guilty of the play card, it gets removed from their winning pile.
So you can lie about.
also it's good to have
So
them.
Will could lie and say,
Yeah.
"Yes, I definitely have been chased by the police," and
Oh.
then
I like it.
But I want to know what you hid from hotel housekeeping.
well,
I thought it was booze.
actually, it's been multiple things. I feel like whenever I'm in a hotel, I'm doing something that I'm trying to hide from somebody. But I was thinking more so of
Ruh-roh.
I was more thinking of condoms.
oh yeah,
And where the housekeeping was coming in, I'd be like, where should I put them where they're not going to look, but it's not going to be like out in the way. And I was like, but I don't want to put them somewhere where I'm going to forget where they are. So I'm
Just gotta
like,
put him next to Gideon's Bible.
yeah. So I was like, I was like, I can put them
no.
in the safe, but I'll probably forget the passcode.
See, at PAX, I felt like I was hiding how many people were staying in the room under my name
nice.
from housekeeping. Because we
we're all
crammed
visiting.
6 people
Yeah.
in a 1-bed hotel room.
I've also done that. That's awesome. 6 is a very good number. That's
good.
impressive.
It was like a king size bed too.
It was a king-size bed, and then we got a roll away, and we were just polite to them so that they would leave us alone.
that's a good
That is a
approach.
good
Yeah,
approach.
Should I draw a red
Yeah,
card?
Absolutely.
you're up.
Yep. So do you believe Will?
I do.
Face off. I have to pick a play card that I am guilty of. and challenge someone else to see if they are guilty of it as well. If they are, I win the card. If they are not, I discard the card. So
Awesome. So you pick one from your hand.
So I'm picking one from my hand
Yes.
that I am guilty of that I think somebody else here has also done.
Oh,
Yes.
this is cool.
Yeah, so if they have done it, you get the card. Choose wisely.
This is...
I'll give you a hint. J-Lo's a very guilty
my
man.
Shut up.
Okay.
I know.
All right. I am going to read this one. Do I have to read it first or choose a person
I
first?
think you should read it first and then choose the person because then it's funnier.
Okay.
Wait, I think you should say the person you chose so that
But I kind of
You
want to
don't
see how people
judge
react
reaction,
to
think
but
me.
that
you-
would help your choosing, I think.
think that's
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
and you should read it first.
Read
Okay.
it first.
Yep, because I'm going to look this way and drink my beer.
Laughed so hard I peed myself. I have done this. Of everyone here, I could see J-Lo doing that. Yes?
Is that your
J-Lo,
final answer?
That is my confirmed answer. Have you laughed so hard you
laughed
peed
so hard
yourself?
I peed
I
myself.
hope not. Oh,
That
boy.
is something that has happened to me in my life. I have laughed so hard that I peed myself.
So
Correct.
I win.
Yes,
Where's
you
the
get
red
to.
card?
So it
lost
goes
it.
over here. You keep the blue card.
Woohoo!
So you always draw back up. So if you've discarded a card, you draw back up to 10.
Cool. Me and J-Lo have laughed until we peed.
That is correct. I wasn't
Oh,
from
Sarah-
God,
Sarah,
I
have you?
just drew an even worse one.
I don't think I have in my adult life that I can remember.
Well, I don't- it
mean,
doesn't have to
in
be
my
adult life.
childhood,
Yeah,
I
in
may
my
have, but I
childhood I did.
don't remember to confirm it.
Okay.
I very clearly remember.
Own it. Everyone else picks a play card that they are guilty of and places it on the table face up. I will decide which card is the
Holy
poorest
shit.
life decision, and the person who played it wins it. Discard the rest.
Do we have to own this?
You have to own up to it. Yeah, you show me a card that you've done, and I pick.
I don't want to admit to any of this shit.
Well, if it's something you've done, this is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
Okay.
What if it's a lie? Like, what is it? You can't play a card that you can't use.
Right. So you pick one that you are guilty of.
I gotta say, I must be really boring because a lot of the cards in my hand I have not done.
Yeah, most of them I haven't either.
I mean, I chose one that I don't feel any shame for. It's just like you guys didn't need to know this about me.
All right, let's have
but-
All right,
Will.
I mean,
We'll go.
Okay, so this one's a little. The wording is "cop to feel on the subway."
So you felt someone up on the subway.
It wasn't on purpose. But it's a great story, but
Okay, Sarah, what's yours?
taking a dump while on a date.
Awesome.
Removed all my pubic hair.
Removed. Oh, man.
It's fine. I lived in Boston.
Okay.
Okay, we all did that.
I feel like that's a normal
yeah.
thing when you're 18
I know. I
years
just
old
didn't
and,
want
and
everyone
a
to
woman.
listen to the podcast to know this about me. But
So I am going to pick Amy's because having done that as well, the razor burn is not great.
neither is the worst part.
very
tell
true.
you.
So that's a round. You want to do another couple?
I think we have some time.
Okay.
And I think this
do
is
it. This game
ideally
rules.
entertaining. I'm going to
So
draw
we'll-
a new card.
Well, yeah. So refill the 10 and then Will, your red card.
All right, card exchange. Everyone discards 2 play cards of their choice and draws 2 new play cards from the box. Everyone should have
good.
10 play cards at all time. I get to draw another
10?
rule
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
So we just get to
yeah,
get rid of 2 ones that you
discard
don't
2 and then draw
want.
2
ditch
new
a
ones.
couple that we hate. And
So these are great. So when I first started playing, this didn't come up for like 3 rounds, and we had like 5 players at a time. So knowing that you can swap out the cards is great because sometimes you get stuck with crap cards and
Yeah.
it's boring.
there are
And you also get
so
to do
many
another red one.
sex cards.
There's a lot, yeah.
Russian
It does say ages 17 up.
Yeah,
Bring us to your
there was one I got
17-year-old
rid of
cousin.
because I was just like, I'm a good person. I would never do that.
Well, right.
Russian roulette. Everyone picks their favorite play card and hands it to me, face down. Then I'll pass them back randomly, and one by one, each person answers the play card given to them. If you are guilty, you win the card.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be. We can hand you one that we have not
Correct.
done. Just our. I got a
Yeah.
great one that I want you to look at.
And then he's going to pass them out to us.
So this is a good opportunity to find out. Like, I really want to know who here has done this.
I put a weird thing in there for sure.
So I don't. Do I even look at them?
I
No.
don't think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
it
hand
doesn't
them
say
back
so,
out
so-
randomly.
Oh.
All right, so let's start with Sarah.
All right, so I got congratulated someone who wasn't actually pregnant.
Oh no.
Ooh.
Have you ever
And
done
we'll go
that?
at
You
the end of
know-
this one. We'll say who put in what card.
I gotta say, I may have done this when I was younger, and I was working in a grocery store. I've got some
congratulations.
wishy-washy memories of accidentally doing this. or being there for it, so I could have done this.
Cool.
I got sucked on my partner's toes because I thought it would be sexy. I do not think I've done some really cool stuff in my life. This is not
this is not one of
something
those things
that I
that's
have
really
any
cool.
memory of having
So
done.
you're not into feet.
So no.
Crapped my pants.
JLo, so
So I did not put this card in, but I want to know what the difference between crapped your pants and sharded is.
Sharding is when you think you're just only gonna fart, but some
poop
shit
comes
comes
out.
You
out.
poop your pants. So this is worse.
Yeah.
well, not necessarily.
Isn't it like
It depends.
The same end result, but a different process.
Yeah.
yeah? Let's like the
man.
philosophical difference I feel is that when you're sharding, it's like, oh, this is definitely just
Oh,
a fart,
boy.
and it's not. Versus, oh man, I feel like crap my pants is one of those like, oh man, I can't. I know I have to crap, but I can't. I didn't make it. And I can honestly say that in living memory, I have never crapped my pants. I have obviously been a baby at some point in my life, but I have not crapped my pants.
Man, you are missing out. So, worn another person's underwear was my card, and I definitely have.
Yeah, that's not that
tell you,
bad,
I actually,
really.
Yeah, no, I tried to wear a thong one time, and I wore it backwards, thinking that that's how it was.
Same.
Yeah. I was like, man, these are.
Wow.
So I put in the card
Holy
congratulating
shit.
someone who wasn't pregnant, having done that. So
Oh
I was really hoping I wouldn't get it back
God.
to myself. Who put in crap my pants?
That was mine.
Okay.
I have not done.
Who put in
full
toes?
crap.
At you, Sarah?
That was me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, this is weird, huh?
So you got yours back.
I got mine back. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh.
Let's do. I want to do one more. Can we do one more?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that okay?
All right, never have I ever card. On the spot, I get to pick any play card in my hand and make someone answer it. If they are guilty, they win the card. All
Oh
right.
my God.
Yes.
All right, everybody knows I have a sharded card, so we're going to skip that.
But there might be some great stories about sharding, Sarah. So think about that too.
All right.
I feel like they all end badly.
I got one.
You'll think it's a good idea, and it'll turn out to be a bad idea.
Wow, weird.
So-
how thematic.
All right, here's...
So you pick the card and the person, right? Is that-
Yeah. I'm gonna hope for the best, but as our guest, I'm gonna ask Will,
Cool.
and as a known friend to children, because of Luke, who played your game. I want to know if you have ever accidentally been the first person to tell a kid Santa Claus wasn't real.
Well, so I don't know if I've been part of conversations that
God.
around kids where that has come up, and then later on find out that like my friends' kids are like really
So into
traumatized by
Santa
the
Claus.
conversation.
Yeah.
So this sounds like yes.
Yes, I mean it's actually
Sounds like a roundabout, yes.
it's like
I think
highly
you may
possible.
have like adjacently been associated.
I was
with-
definitely
Yeah.
part of a conversation where I didn't
Kids
think.
hear everything, you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Ooh. Well,
Sadly enough.
I think you've just won the
I think
game
Will won.
with
Will has two.
four cards.
Sarah
as
has
well as-
Sarah
one.
Will has 4.
I have 2.
Amy
JLo
has
has
2.
0. Will has 4.
It's
Will
funny
has
because
4.
almost all the other ones in the hand I couldn't have really gotten much.
I
of.
think we should.
I know, these
Last
are
thing
very-
we should do is we should all pick our favorite card in our hand right now.
Oh, certainly.
That is most hilarious.
dated a drug dealer to get free weed.
Oh.
Aw.
I think my favorite one is had uncontrollable gas at work.
That is something that
I
has
think that's
happened.
happened to everybody.
Yeah, dude, it's a fight, you know. I think what are these? So I think one of these I've not done, but I've been the accomplice for, prearranged to be bailed out of a date.
Oh,
Like I had
Oh,
someone,
yeah.
I was someone's like, hey man, this might not go too well. Can you just text me at about 9:30 and
I sort of
that
think
you'll be
that,
like my out.
like, I don't know about you, Sarah, but I sort of think that's a universal experience for women that you make a backup plan for every time you're out with a man.
Yeah, I would just outright be like, I'm sorry, this sucks. Goodbye.
Also, the other card I have in my hand
good
is
backup plan.
shown someone else my shit,
Does your mom
which
count?
again was definitely
I
a thing.
really
Like a
wanna
kid
know.
saying, like, "Ma, I pooped on myself.
Does this look normal to you?
So
Why is it green?"
I think I got one that's gross and one that's creepy. I got peed in a pool or a hot tub. I think
There's only two kinds of people: those who have and liars.
As a child, it's normal. I want to know about
pool or hot tub.
I'm talking.
Hot tubs are hard
like
not to because
18.
it's so warm.
Do you even notice the pee coming out? I don't think you do.
No, yeah, you can't tell the difference.
No.
I have never consciously peed in a pool or hot tub, but I have peed in
A
a
hot
lake.
dog? You never
Hot
peed
dog?
in a hot dog?
Chlorine is an invitation.
It just cleans it for you. It's amazing.
So when I drew back up after I used that last card, I drew had the urge to follow a beautiful stranger. That is stalking, ladies and gentlemen. Do not do that.
But that's the urge, not the follow through, right? You can be like,
Yeah,
I
it's
really
okay
want
to
to
have
know where
the
that
urge.
person's going.
Don't do it.
Maybe we could be best friends. It's fine.
That's also how parades start, though. Just saying.
Following a beautiful person.
Jump in the line,
Down the street.
rock your body in time. Okay, I believe you. Well, before we head off, where can we find your game if we're in the Portland area?
So Weekend Anime was actually the first store in the world to carry us.
Yay.
And
Heck yeah.
Crossroad Games in Standish as well. And the new store Diversions in South Portland.
Seen it there.
I also saw a copy at Coast City Comics.
Coast City
Yeah.
Comics, Marcy's Diner.
Marcy's
Oh,
Diner,
that's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
What if we come to Arcadia
And
and meet you on Monday nights?
Monday night robots at Arcadia National Bar. Come and play with us. You can learn to
Yay.
play the game, see if you like it, and you can also pick it up from us personally if you'd like, as well at the bar. And you
Awesome.
might even get one of the the specialty Barcadia robots too.
I have
They're
one.
really
Awesome.
cute. I have one.
They have
Yeah,
a
there's
pinball
what-
table, right?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
pinball machine that's a robot.
And this can be found other places across the country as well.
Yeah, if you go to robotcardgame.com, you can actually find the list of places. We're in like 35 stores across the country.
Cool.
And available online as well.
Very cool.
Sweet. Thanks for coming. This is Sarah. Check me out on my Twitch channel that is about to be up and running completely.
my.
Twitch.tv/girlwhoplays.pinball.
Nice.
So bye, everybody. Thanks so much for having me, you guys. It's William.
This is Amy. Don't check me out.
And this is JLo. Do check me out. Twitter at JLota. Instagram at Jeremy Lota. Facebook Jeremy Lota. Play more
Stalk
games.
him.
Yeah, get at me, bros.
Play more robots.
Play more robots, play more games, be nerdy, make cool shit.
We love
Yeah.
We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Arcadia National Podcast was recorded in the Bone Cathedral beneath the former location of the Arby's on Forest Avenue in Maine. Our theme song is by Toon Food. Andy hit the record button, and Arcadia National Podcast is not yet sponsored by Arby's.